Welcome to this We and Law Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we have a highly specific, totally critical goal: legally demystifying Nigeria's new crypto tax computations. If you've been scratching your head wondering how the Nigeria Revenue Service actually expects you to calculate taxes on your virtual assets, well, you are exactly in the right place. Let's get into it. Here is our agenda for today. 1. Virtual asset tax rates. 2. The 5-step tax formula. 3. Excluding Naira depreciation. 4. Tax treatment of airdrops. And finally 5. DeFi, staking, and wrapping. Now, I do want to point out right away that understanding these rules, especially that math in Part 3, could absolutely save you from overpaying taxes on Naira depreciation. Section 1. Virtual asset tax rates. Okay, before we can even touch the math, we really need to lay down the baseline tax rates straight from Section 8.1 of the NRS guidelines. So for individuals, income tax on gains is charged at standard progressive rates. Easy enough. For companies, it's a flat 30%. Now, pay close attention to these last two because they are highly specific to virtual assets. Any disposal faces a 1% withholding tax on your gross proceeds. And passive income, think things like staking yields, is subject to a 10% withholding tax. Just a quick pause here. To stay on top of your financial rights as these complex rules roll out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon on the We and Law channel. It's the best way to keep yourself informed. Moving right along to Section 2, the 5-step tax formula. All right, this is arguably the most critical part of this whole explainer. We're looking at the official dollar-referenced gain computation formula. The NRS actually mandates a very strict 5-step process for this. Step 1, you determine your dollar cost base. That's the US dollar price of the asset right when you acquired it. Step 2, figure out your dollar disposal proceeds, the US dollar price when you sell. And then Step 3 is calculating the dollar gain or loss by subtracting that base from the proceeds. What's super fascinating here is that we literally have to calculate the true economic gain purely in US dollars before the Naira even enters the equation. So once we've got that pure dollar gain locked in, we move to Step 4. This is where we calculate the Naira taxable gain by multiplying your dollar gain from Step 3 by the official CBN rate specifically on the exact date of your disposal. This is what brings the calculation back home to Naira. Finally, Step 5 is the token deducted at source. Basically, the exchange is required to take that 1% withholding tax directly from your gross token proceeds before you even see your funds. All right, Section 3. Excluding Naira depreciation. Now, why did we just go through all that dollar referencing math? Because it acts as a massive taxpayer protection mechanism. Let's look at this brilliant example of user A from illustration 2 in the official guidelines. Imagine you bought a token for 1 million Naira and sold it later for 1.97 million Naira. If you just did a straight Naira computation, boom, you've got an apparent gain of 970,000 Naira. But wait. Because the Naira actually lost value against the dollar while you were holding that asset, your true economic gain was way smaller. By using the dollar reference computation that the NRS requires, your actual taxable gain comes out to just 470,000 Naira. By forcing this math, a whopping 500,000 Naira depreciation component is actively excluded from being taxed. That is a game changer. And, it gets better. It's incredibly important to note that if Step 3 of our formula results in a negative dollar figure, that is officially a recognized loss. Under these guidelines, this dollar loss is legally available to be aggregated with your gains for annual netting. The takeaway here? You don't just pay taxes on your winners, you actually get to subtract your losers. I want to remind everyone that this isn't just some legal theory we're kicking around. This is the official, codified NRS procedure designed to standardize the market. Navigating this kind of complexity is exactly why you need civic education from We and Law. So if you haven't yet, click that notification bell. You absolutely need to know these rules to protect your portfolio. Let's transition over to Section 4, tax treatment of airdrops. So stepping away from the standard math for a second, how exactly are airdrops and hard forks classified? The absolutely crucial point here is comparing the immediate market value. If an airdrop lands in your wallet and it has a realizable value today, well, it's taxed today in Naira. And because you just paid tax on it, its cost base is immediately stepped up to that value. However, if the airdrop has no realizable value upon receipt, meaning it's practically worthless when you get it, your cost base is recorded as nil. In that scenario, you only pay tax if and when you eventually sell it for a profit down the line. And I really want this number to stick in your head, 10%. Airdrops that have immediate value, along with any mining rewards you get, are explicitly treated as passive income under these new guidelines. That means they get slapped with a 10% withholding tax immediately upon receipt. Finally, let's explore Section 5, DeFi, staking, and wrapping. This is where things can get a bit tangled, so let's unpack the legal treatment of decentralized finance and wrapped tokens. According to Section 7.2, there are a few things that are generally non-taxable events. These include merely making transfers between your own wallets, placing your tokens into staking or validation lockups, or the tokenization of real-world assets, which we in the space usually just call wrapping. So the big question is, why are those specific actions tax-free? It all comes down to a core legal principle known as beneficial ownership. Basically, beneficial ownership is your right to enjoy the economic benefits of an asset. For crypto event to be non-taxable, this ownership must remain completely unchanged. For instance, converting your Bitcoin to wrapped Bitcoin or staking your ETH and getting a receipt token like Steth back isn't a taxable disposal. Why? Solely because your beneficial ownership of the underlying asset hasn't changed one bit. You still completely own the economic value. It literally just changed form.
But, of course, there is a vital exception to keep in mind here. While the lockup or wrapping process itself is tax-free, the actual DeFi yield, the lending interest, and the staking rewards generated from those locked assets, those are absolutely taxable. They're treated as passive income the exact moment you receive them.
Empowering your civic and financial action is totally at the heart of what we do here. If you found value in this clear, structured explanation of your rights today, please hit subscribe and ring the bell. It really supports We in Law's mission of taking complex socio-legal research and turning it into real, actionable community power.
I'm going to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on today. As DeFi continues to rapidly evolve with incredibly complex liquid staking mechanisms and automated market makers, are these strict beneficial ownership rules going to adapt fast enough to protect taxpayers operating in next-generation protocols? It's a huge question. Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and I really hope this leaves you curious to learn even more about the future of crypto taxation. We'll see you next time.